Hello everyone, this is Crumpet here, and welcome back to another tutorial. And today's tutorial is not going to be a cheap, inexpensive, but good utility farm for survival. It's going to be a little bit of a luxurious farm. It's going to be a bit expensive. There's quite a bit of hopper usage and stuff involved in this, but it's definitely worth it if you want the first, well, probably not the first ever, but one of the first that I've really seen that works too well. A completely automatic wheat farm. It just uses bone meal and is powered by a villager. So hopefully this guy will actually demonstrate for us here in just a moment. Let's go into game mode 3. Turn our camera back around. So what this guy's going to do is once he stops, once his AI updates, he's going to start planting seeds. Perfect timing. Thank you, guy. Really appreciate it. So he's going to keep planting the seeds until he comes all the way back here. He's going to see this patch of farmland, and he's going to run for it. Be like, hey, let's get that one, and it's going to fall down the hole, hit that tripwire, and turn on the machine. It's going to grow everything, harvest it, and it's going to get looted before it gets back to him. I haven't actually set up the sorter, so the seeds are also getting looted at the moment too. But on the machine that we will build together, we will set up the sorter so it only grabs the wheat, and then he gets sent back through after it's looted, back up the tunnel, once everything's clear and the wheat is away from him so he doesn't pick it up, and he starts the cycle all over again until you get however much wheat that you want, and then you can just flick that button right here. And on the next cycle, as you can see, this piston is now extended. He will get stuck down here. He can't go back up and plant or hit the tripwire and start again. So you can completely turn it off if you need to as well. He will complete this cycle, of course, because he's already up here. But after that, he will be stuck and the machine can no longer run. So anyways, guys, that's pretty much how it works. Now let's get to a new world and kind of show you how it's built. Okay, everybody, I am here. Now we are in a fresh, clean, new world with nothing but bedrock. As you can see, we're not on the ground completely, and that's because I wanted to start about, I think you need about 11 or 12 blocks of vertical space going downwards from the floor level where you want to build this. So I started up about 20 blocks in the air just to be safe. But anyways, what we're going to need to do, start out, is to get our dirt. And we're just going to want to put 6 dirt blocks next to each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to get another solid block. I'm actually going to use quartz for that. 2 temp blocks. Another block here. Break those out. And then we're going to need another dirt block next to the quartz block. And then now we can just kind of go ahead, fill this in around it. Like so. And on the far side of the 6 dirt blocks right here, on the opposite side of where the hole is, you're going to want a slime block. And then you can go ahead and fill in around that. Perfect. So now you got your main little area where the villager is going to be putting his stuff. Now we're going to need, I need to grab a hoe as well. We're done with our slime block, so you can go ahead and put that away. That's the only one that you should need throughout the entire time. Now we're going to need to put down some water so it stays hydrated. So the first spot we're going to put down water is going to be next to this dirt block right here on this far edge. So we're going to make a little cubby off like where this lapis block is, or now where that quartz block is. That's where the water's going to be. So we're just going to make a little cubby around it, one block on the side, one underneath, and put our water bucket inside of that. The next one is going to be behind this quartz block, diagonal to the dirt. Oops, mouse is freaking out a little bit, so right here. So make again our little cubby and put your water block here. And then the last one is going to be behind this slime block. So the front side is going to be right here, so it's going to be on the back side. So again, we're going to make our little cubby, break that out, and put our water. And that should be good for the water. Now the next thing we're going to need is we're going to want to put down some dispensers. The first dispenser we're going to want to put down is, this is our, again, when the slime block is on your left, this is the front of the farm. So we're going to come around, turn around, and put a dispenser right here to make sure these are dispensers. Yep. And then now on the back of all 6 of these dirt blocks, we're going to want to put a line of dispensers. So one here, 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 and here. Alright. Now we're going to come over to these 2 quartz blocks that we placed before, and then we're going to place trapdoors on them and open them up. Now we're going to want to come underneath those and put one more block down underneath. I'm just going to kind of encase this a little bit. Actually, those can be glass. It doesn't really matter. That those blocks can be whatever. Oh no, 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 no. Don't do that. That's actually, well, it'll be solid. Anyways, that part doesn't matter. So now, what we're going to do is, coming back over here, we're going to need a sticky piston. And I guess we can put your dirt away. You don't need your dirt anymore. And on that back block where the water is being held in by, we're going to want to go ahead and place a sticky piston and then a solid block next to that. Alright, and now you're actually ready. You can go ahead and kind of fill this into a little room. Just make it 3 tall. I'm going to end up starting a wall right here and then a wall right here. You just go ahead and cover this block, that water block up. Make sure this little block right back here is poking out because we're going to need that for the redstone later. But I'm going to make a little bit of a platform between these 2 lines, one next to the dispenser. There's going to be a wall, and I'm going to bring this out back by 5 and just kind of fill in the rest of this. And don't fill in around the slime block. You can bring this up to 3 tall, but don't make a ceiling right here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those in, and I'll be right back. Okay guys, when that's all said and done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. I went ahead and tilled the dirt inside. That you can go ahead and do that now, it's fine. One thing I want to note, like I said, you want to leave this spot open by where the slime block is, and then there's going to be a 3 block drop, like so. I also wanted to note that you only want this this exit when it falls to be a 2 tall exit, otherwise it will potentially make it so the villager can stomp out this dirt block right here. So you only want this very first dirt block to be the space above it to be 2 tall. So just throw in an extra like glass block or something right here. So anyways, next we need to figure out is how far this tube needs to go down, because what's going to happen, like I showed you in the intro, the villager will jump down here and then jump down into a little bit of a holding cell. So what we're going to need to do is build this down one more, and that is where our tripwire hooks are going to go. But this one actually needs to go back by 1. And you may be wondering, can you move this block underneath that trapdoor so it goes back by that? And you don't want to do that. Actually, you want to have those 2 blocks right here where the trapdoor is, and then another block down. That's because the villager can run too far and then he'll run into the hook instead of the tripwire, and then he won't actually set off the machine. So you definitely want that block there. So now we're going to set up our 2 tripwire hooks here, put our string in the middle, and then you can just go ahead, build this down by about like 5. So we're already 2 down, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 2, 3, 4, 5, and just go, whoops, go ahead, fill in that glass. Doesn't need to be glass or anything, I just like having viewing windows. Alright, so now we need to figure out where, like I said, how far down this needs to go. So we're going to start with a little bit of the redstone now. So underneath, this is where our tripwire hook is connected to that quartz block. We're going to need 2 more solid blocks going towards, that's the front side that I'm facing, so going towards the back side. And then 1 block, oops, not there, 1 block like so. And then we're going to need some redstone. We're going to need our droppers here in just a moment. Need our redstone, put 2 redstone dust going into that block. And then over here where this glass block is, we're going to need to make a dropper RS latch, so that's 2 droppers pointing into each other. So we got 2 blocks away from this pointing towards the solid block, and then come around here, and then another dropper pointing into that one, so the 2 are facing each other. Go ahead and put a single item inside of the dropper that's connected to the solid block, and that's good to go. Now underneath the dropper that's connected to the glass, put a solid block underneath it, and another one after that. Grab out your comparators. And grab out a repeater as well. Might as well. Just get rid of some of the stuff that we don't need right now. Alright, so grab out your comparator, put it on the back of that block. Put a solid block being pointed into by that comparator, and then you're also going to want to come down by 2. Break out that intermediary block in the middle. And then we're going to bring that one over, and then one up. Like so. Break out that solid block underneath. And now we're going to have a redstone dust underneath that. A redstone repeater pointing into that block. And now again we're going to need to come down. And then from here we're just going to make a little bit of a spiral, so coming out to the back. And now towards the dispensers, so the direction of those dispensers. And then now down one, again going towards the glass tube, and then back up. And this will kind of show us where we need to bring our glass tubing, and I'll show you why in just a second. But go ahead, and from this block we just need to connect those up with redstone. Don't need any redstone on this block here. We're going to need our sticky pistons and our glass again. And on the back of this solid block we're going to put a sticky piston and a piece of glass, and you can see this is now on the same axis of the tubing. This will become a wall. So that's how far down we need to bring ours. This will be the head height of where the villager will be, so you need to come down by another block, so that'll be the foot level, and then the actual area that they stand on right here. And then we can go ahead and pretty much fill in the rest of this. But let me go ahead and show you how far out the tube is going to go as well. So if we come back up here from where the slime block is and where this little wall behind it is, the wall behind it will come out by 3 blocks. So we already have the 1, so 2, and then 3. And then where that lapis block is where the actual mob evader is going to be. So you can put glass on all those sides like so. Break that out. And then we can go ahead and just fill in the entire tube. Don't put any of the water in just yet. We're not ready for that. But just go ahead and fill in this tube that will come all the way down, all the way over, and then connect all the way back up here with a mob evader. So I'm going to do that quickly off camera, and then you can see what it looks like in a second. Alright, now if you've done that all properly, you should have something that looks a little bit something like this. So remember, 3 blocks in between the hole that drops down onto that slime block in there. And then how deep this goes makes that sticky piston at your head height. Now, before we got to add water into these, there's going to be water streams and stuff like that. There's going to be actually 2 other things we want to add to it. One thing that I like to add to all my machines, is an on-off switch. So actually we're going to need that, and that. Lever, redstone, yeah, what don't we need? I guess a comparator. So on this middle block right here, I have this little 5 wide wall. I'm going to put a lever right here on this bottom middle block, and then a redstone lamp 2 blocks above it. Now let's come to the back of that, and so our redstone, or our lever is going to be on this block that my cursor is on. So underneath that block we're going to put a solid block here, and then a solid block out again to the side, and then one up. I'm going to put redstone down on both of those, a redstone torch on top of that, and then put 3 more solid blocks covering up the redstone lamp, and redstone dust above that, and that should power that redstone lamp, signifying that the machine is turned on right now. I guess that lever is up, so that also kind of signifies that it's turned on. And now we're going to come down here, and where this first solid block is, the lever's again behind that block. Where this first one is, we're going to come down by 1, come to back away from the machine by 1, down again towards the middle, and then down again. And pretty much what we're just going to do is we're going to try to get it so that this is at head height pretty much. And now there's going to be one thing that we might need to work around when we add the water streams in, but I'll show you that in just a moment. It's just because the water is not going to reach all the way from one side to the other, so we're going to have to play with some signs to get it to, get to the other side. So we might just have to play around where the signs and the water streams begin and end. But that's really no big deal. So pretty much all you're going to need to do is, actually Yeah, let's do it right there. Get this down to head height, and then we're going to break ourselves back in here. It needs to be 2 blocks away from the glass, so that way when you put your sticky piston in, you can put your glass block in. When it's not extended, it's good to go. But then when it extends, it'll block anything from getting through here, so there will be a glass block here blocking the villager from being able to get through. And that way we can effectively turn our machine off, because our villager is hitting that tripwire is what actually powers the machine. Alright, so next thing before we add in these water streams down here is we need to build a loot system. So our way to get our wheat out after it's been grown. So coming over to the backside now, we're going to break out not this first one right here on the wall, but we're going to break out the next 2 and then the quartz blocks underneath there. Actually, we're going to need to start that from the other side, if I remember correctly. Alright, so from the front side. Now we're going to need our hoppers. We're going to be building just a little basic sorting system down here. So we're going to have some hoppers pointing into those 2 lapis blocks back here. Now we're going to come out underneath here. And actually we need to come over to the other side. Actually, I guess it doesn't really matter which side they're pointing to. But now coming over back to the back side, we're going to come out over here. And then we're going to need some solid blocks again, which I already have. Put a comparator coming out of both of these. So we're going to have to kind of wiggle our way in around here. Like so. And then most of you hopefully should know how a basic sorter looks at this point. Whoops. And like that. Put our repeaters pointing inwards the other direction from where the comparators are pointing, so that opposite direction. Grab some redstone dust, lay that down here, and then grab our redstone torches and put those on those lower blocks. And now what we're going to need, this is the front side again, so we're going to need to grab a chest. So we're going to grab a chest, and I'm just going to put them right here. If you actually build this in a real survival world, you're going to want to, redirect this loot system so it's not just going into this chest like I have it right now, but to go into some actual storage system. But that's pretty simple. Just, keep on leading these lines of hoppers up to somewhere else. But then you should be good to go. You just got to add the items into the hopper. So we're going to need 21 of 2 different types of 21 filler items. Any item that's not going to go through the system, so any seeds or wheat. And then we're going to need 2 pieces of wheat as well. And that way what this is going to do, it's going to pull out all the wheat before the villager can get to it. But it's going to give him back the seeds so he can continue planting. Alright, good. Now your sorters are in place. You can actually go ahead and refill in these 2 solid blocks right here. And now let's go back inside of here and add in our water streams. So just grab your bucket of water, and from this is where they fall, from under the tripwire. So where that quartz block is, add in your first water source. Ooh, as you can see, this is a little bit of a problem. I believe... yeah, that's going to be a little bit of a problem where that sticky piston is. So let's see, how many blocks away is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're going to have to move that sticky piston later. Alright, so we're going to need a sign. And in front of where the water stream ends, you're going to want a sign. And on top of where the water stream ends, you're going to want a sign. And grab another bucket of water and place that right there. And it should get you all the way down to the end. And then you can go ahead and build your little standard mob evader. So 1 sign here, 1 sign here, and going all the way up here, and then obviously put a sign right here, so it doesn't make any water flow down, and just kind of fill in between all the signs, so the villagers can get up to the top. So go ahead, and I'm going to do that off camera, and then we're going to go, after I finish filling in the water, we'll go move the sticky piston, and then continue on to the rest of the redstone. Okay guys, we have our water stream in place. So now everything looks, well, your water stream should look like this, pointing down all the way to the side, and then that little part that continues to get the villagers the rest of the way. Then you have your little mob evader where the water starts the third block above their head because they'll be jumping in that little stream. Go all the way up and then repeat the cycle. And now we got it. Well, I already went ahead and moved my sticky piston. You just got to move it over a couple blocks so you can kind of see what I did with these stairs right here. Came out backwards by 2 and then down by 1, 2, 3, 4 more, and then over, and then we just got to connect our redstone up and just make it sure so that sticky piston is one to the side of that side, the upper side. So now just go ahead and fill in that redstone like so. And now if you want to turn off the farm, the light turns off, sticky piston extends, villager can't get through anymore. Good. Now, time to continue on with the redstone. So, I guess the next thing we're going to need to do is build a single pulsar coming off of this here RS latch. So, off of this solid block right here that's being pointed to by that comparator, we're going to put a dropper and then a hopper pointing back into that. So go ahead and put a single item inside of that dropper so you don't forget. Now, coming off the side towards where those dispensers are, go underneath it, have a block come out, grab a comparator, and then we're also going to need another block and a repeater, which I already have out. Perfect. Alright, now after that repeater, we're going to want to make a 2x7 platform coming out, one out, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And on this third one, or I guess the fifth one away from the repeater, on the line in front of the repeater, we can just go ahead and break that one out so it becomes a 2x4 with one in between and then a 2x2. So next we're going to need just our redstone and our comparators. Put 2 redstone dust here and here. Now we're going to need our comparators. These 2 go forwards, these 2 go backwards, and that will make a bit of a pulse extender. Now we're going to need another dust here, a redstone comparator in subtraction mode, and then line that around with redstone. Now we're going to have to come out 2 more blocks here, and then we're going to make a line 2 blocks underneath these blocks right here. Oh no! I'm going to change these up to quartz just to show they're used by the redstone. But so 2 blocks underneath here, we're going to put another line. I hope I didn't break any redstone down there. And then off the side of those, back here, we're going to need another 2 wide platform diagonal to that, like so. Now we're going to need some repeaters and some redstone torches. Put redstone torches underneath all of them. Repeaters next to those, pointing into those blocks with the redstone torches, and line the back of it with redstone. Now we're going to need a repeater right here on 3 ticks delay, and just another redstone dust here. Alright, and now off the side of this, we're going to need another block here, and then another block diagonally upwards to that. We're going to need a repeater on 4 ticks of delay. And now off the side of this one, we're going to need another single pulsar. So we're going to have this pointing out this way, and this hopper pointing back like that. And now also underneath here, we're going to need, this block right here that's going to be powering this single pulsar. We're going to need to come down by 2, like so, go over, and then up, and then where this block is right here for this dispenser, again we're going to need to come down by 2, put a redstone torch on top of that, build a block diagonal to that, alright, put a comparator on top of that. We're going to be putting a single pulsar right here, so a dropper facing upwards, with the hopper pointing down back into that. Put an item inside of it before you forget, and then a redstone torch off the side of the block that we just built a second ago that is one away from the single pulsar, and then just go ahead and put redstone pointing into that block. Now, coming back to the single pulsar that we just built right here that you can see, go ahead and towards the back of the build, take a block out, put a comparator, and now we're going to be building a hopper clock here. So I'm just going to build a quick little platform. This is where your sticky piston will be right there. So we're going to need 4 off this direction, 3 and 4. So we're going to need that, we'll need that. Dang, we're going to need all of those. Alright, so we're going to need to build a you there, 2 hoppers pointing into each other, comparators off the side of those, like so, pointing into solid blocks, and then redstone dust behind the pistons. Good. I'm going to go ahead and break out any unnecessary blocks because I have OCD about that. And like so. Now off the off of this hopper right here, the one that's closest to the non-sticky piston, we're going to need, on the back side of that, we're going to need another comparator coming off of that one, like so. And now we're going to need a block coming up and then a block coming down to break out that intermediary one. And first we're going to go up, so grab out some redstone torches, take one, put a block on top of that, and another one. And now over where this sticky piston is over here next to those dispensers, we're going to put a solid block next to it, and then a line just coming all the way to the back, and then connect it up to where this redstone torch is, and then just run redstone over this, except for where this one block is, where this that dropper, we're going to put a repeater on top of that one, and then another redstone dust. Alright, now coming down underneath this, where the lower side was, coming out towards the side, we're going to want to get another diagonal block over here, run some redstone to that, and then we're going to want it to come back up, and then another block over here, and have the block being pulled out, pull the redstone through with a repeater, and then we're going to come out by 1, and then go 2 more this direction, and we're going to take this back like so. I believe it needs to go up by 1 more. Okay. And then from the middle, we're going to also come back by 4. So in the middle of that 5 that we just did. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And make that 5 long, so including the base. Alright. And we'll work with that in just a sec. Oops. We'll work with that one in just a second. Now this little corner block where our mob evader is, we're going to have to break... yeah, that one out. I'm going to break that one and replace it with quartz. And this solid block with the redstone torch, you're going to want to connect that up here, and then connect those like so. And just run redstone from that repeater all the way over to there, where that block with the redstone torch is. And now coming off of this little extension, I keep hitting a solid block and falling. Also run redstone on top of that. And then on the end of that, we're going to need a redstone torch. Now, pointing back towards the tube, we're going to need our dropper again, and we're going to need another single pulsar because we can't have enough of those. So off of that redstone torch, pointing back towards the tube, and then a hopper going into that. Go ahead, put an item inside of that before you forget. Okay, and now on the underside, like so, get a comparator, and then I guess pointing into a block, and then run this all the way over. Actually, we're going to start over here where this original RS latch, the 2 droppers pointing into each other. Underneath that solid block, you're going to want another block 2 down, and then make a V shape along glass. And then this will be on the same height as this little part that we just started. So just connect those. Underneath that dropper on the RS latch, we're going to put a redstone torch. Put redstone here, redstone here. There's a sticky piston there that we don't want to accidentally diagonally power, so we're going to put a repeater for that block. And then we're going to need more redstone here, here, and here, and then right in front of that comparator on top of the block. And just so the signal gets far enough, we're going to need another repeater right here, and that will set up your reset. So pretty much for the basic redstone, for to set off the dispensers and have the system going, we pretty much have everything in place. We need to put the items into the hopper clock. So we're going to put 23 items inside of that hopper clock. It's going to turn off once, which may go ahead. It's going to pulse this, but there's nothing inside of that dispenser yet, so it's okay. As long as you haven't put anything inside of there. I haven't told you what you're putting in there, so, you know, whatever. It's good. We're good. So anyways, now for the next part, we're going to need our loading station and our unloading station for bone meal. So off the back of these 6 dispensers, we're going to want to put hoppers coming out of each one of those, and then hoppers again above all those. Alright, and now we're going to need some solid blocks. We're going to carry this over on top of, well, from on top of this piston by 4 more blocks. And then we're going to need our chest again, and this is important that it is a chest. Diagonal to where those 4 solid blocks that you just placed on the back of this, starting on the back of this glass, we're going to put a double chest here. And then we're going to take a hopper, put it on the far part of the chest, facing into the chest, and then another hopper pointing into the hopper that you just placed. And then we're going to need a block diagonal to that, like so. And then we're just going to go ahead and on the other side of the hoppers, ring this around all the way over to here, and it will stop right behind where the first block of the actual room is, so you can see where this first part of the floor is. That's where this very last block will be, and then have one diagonal after that. And that's where our track will be to distribute the bone meal to all the dispensers. Okay, so the first thing we're going to set up now is the unloading station. And we're just going to set up part of this for the time being. But anyways, so we're just going to come down here a little bit, and so just, you know, down here, and just put hoppers going. This is going all the way up down to where the chest is here. And I just wanted to mention, this is really the most expensive part of the build, is the loading and unloading station and just getting everything connected up. Part of it is because you want a massive amount of storage for bone meal, but part of it is because it's my own loading / unloading station, and it just ended up being kind of an expensive thing. If you have your own way of designing a loading and unloading station, or just a loading station that would work for this situation, where I cut off before, or a minute ago before we started building the loading station, you can just go ahead and replace mine with yours. It should probably work properly. But anyways, so coming back over here, we're going to need a weird little diagonal thingy like so, and then we're also going to need another one here and another one here, and so you should have a little something that looks like that. Now we're going to need a comparator coming off of the hopper here. We're going to need a redstone torch right there, and then we're going to need our repeater pointing back into that block. We're going to need another repeater down here pointing into that hopper, and then a redstone dust on that block right there. And that's going to be our unloading station for the most part. It is necessary to be paired with the loading station, but the only other thing we need to do is connect up those hoppers to the rest of the system, which we'll do in a moment. So now we're going to come back and start where the player is going to be putting bone meal in. So when I designed this, I put this in this corner right here in this room. So first what we're going to need is we're going to need our chests and we're going to need a bunch of chests and a bunch of hoppers. And starting from the floor level, go down by 2 like so. Put down a double chest. Put hoppers on top of that. And then chests on top of that. And coming over to the underside, we're pretty much going to alternate diagonals of chest here all the way down to the bottom. And then underneath them, pointing into the next chest, we're just going to put hoppers like so to fill up the system and just make a huge, pretty compact storage. So again, do that all the way down to this little bottom level right there. And then I'll do that quickly off camera, and I'll see you in a moment. Alright, when you have that done, you should have something that looks a bit like that, going down all the way down to the bottom, down where that chest is where you will get your wheat. Now, before we connect those up, we're going to need to build our loading station now. So let's go ahead, we're going to need to put on our tracks next, so let's go get our tracks. We're going to need some powered rails, a single detector rail, and we're going to need our regular rails. Alright, so on the very first one, where near that diagonal block, we're going to need a powered rail, skip one with a regular rail, and then our detector rail, 2 more regular rails to get around the corner, and then just powered rails all the way down on top of these hoppers until you get 1 block past the hopper. Then we're going to have 3 more regular rails again, and then 2 more powered rails. And then we're just going to need to power these rails somewhere in the middle with a lever. So just anywhere, as long as it powers all of them, that spot should be good. Powered all of them. Good. Alright, now come back over here to where this diagonal block is. We're going to put down a, we don't need our tracks anymore, so put those away. We need a hopper and a chest, and grab your redstone out again. Put that away. Alright, we're going to need our hopper on top of that powered rail, and a chest on top of that hopper. Now, off of that diagonal block where the hopper is, we're going to need a comparator. Put a solid block on top of that, and a solid block underneath that, and then another solid block next to that. And we're going to need a comparator on subtraction mode there, redstone dust, and a redstone torch on the back of that block above the dust. Now coming out from the side of the comparator in subtraction mode, we're going to need a repeater pointing into the comparator and another redstone dust there. A block on top of that redstone, we're going to make a little V shape here, and then a redstone torch going into to power that hopper, and then a redstone repeater right here. And then we're going to need to make another little V shape, well, another block coming off of this one where the redstone torch is, and a comparator coming out of that. Now we're going to need another hopper timer. So this is where, well, I'll just build it. Alright, so for the hopper timer, we're going to need our 2 hoppers right here pointing into each other. And the sticky piston is going to be on the opposite side of where that comparator is. So our sticky piston will go here, and our regular piston will go here. And then put our redstone block down next to the sticky piston. Go ahead and finish the rest of our clock. Like so. And then go ahead, break out those unnecessary blocks if you have OCD like me. Really not necessary, but whatever. Alright. Now off the side of the sticky piston with the redstone block, we're going to need another block right there. Alright, and then we'll come back to that in just a second. We're going to need to connect it up. But this little block here that's poking out that we talked about earlier that holds the water back, that's going to be important. That's the one that's under the detector rail. So bring another block back. Put a redstone dust on top of the lapis one where it's holding the water. And then a repeater. And then take 2 more solid blocks. These solid blocks aren't necessary, but they're going to help us place stuff. We're going to need to make a T flip-flop here. So, let's see. Starting from right here, we're going to need a dropper that's pointing towards the where the repeater is. And then a dropper pointing upwards in front of the repeater. A dropper pointing backwards away from the repeater on top of that other dropper. And then a hopper pointing downwards. Now, off of the side of this dropper right here, take another solid block with a comparator. I'm just going to go ahead and break those out. And then we're going to need another solid block there. We're going to need a dropper pointing upwards, a hopper pointing down back into there. Go ahead, we're going to need to put an item inside of the first dropper and the T flip-flop that's being pointed into that by that repeater. And then another item inside of this single pulsar here. And now coming off of this single pulsar, oh wait, I need that item, or I need that block there. We're going to need another comparator. Oops, that should be 1 block higher. I apologize. So it reads from the hopper. So a comparator here, and then another block going upwards, and then just bring this around like so. We need to avoid that redstone dust, so bring it back by another, and just connect up those 2. Put redstone here, a repeater to carry the signal over, and then just connect these up. The timer will go off. Oh no, it doesn't have any items inside of it. Alright, so now for the items inside of it, we're going to need 4 items inside of this clock. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. Alright, and now everything should be pretty much set to go. We just got to connect up the all these, the unloader, the storage for the bone meal, and then the loading station for the bone meal. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is we need to figure out where we're going to need to put an item elevator. And we're going to do a dropper item elevator because it's going to actually double as additional storage for bone meal, so this thing can actually run for even longer because it's going to add 9 slots of storage for every single dropper in the dropper elevator that we do. So off of the back of this chest, we're going to put a hopper here and a hopper here. Now bring it off to the side, 2 hoppers over, and then 6 more back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to need a solid block off the back of that. And I'm going to break out this hopper for now. We're going to replace that later. But we're going to need to bring these this line of solid blocks down to one below where that chest is, way down there. So just go down, and this should... Alright, it's one block below there now, so we're going to go like that. And now our droppers, we're going to take our droppers and then just go all the way up to the top. It'd be easier if I jump and shift to one block below where the hoppers go, and then now you can go ahead and replace your hopper there, like so. Now we can go ahead and connect up our hoppers down here, like this. Just bring them over to where this chest is. I went too far. And then underneath this chest, like so, and that will pull all the items and bring them over to this dropper. And now we can go ahead and hook up our unloader as well. So we're going to bring it under another line of hoppers, one under where this sticky piston is. So coming over to right here, we're going to go 2 up, and then just bring it over. Don't get stuck or fall. So just bring this along the back of this glass tubing all the way up to the very edge. And like I said, this is the most expensive way. If you want to figure out another way to add a different loading station that isn't as expensive, feel free. Let me know in the comments if you figure out a better way. I'd love to hear about it. But anyways, now our unloader is hooked back up to our item elevator, so anything that gets unloaded will get sent back to the system. That is the for all the bone meal, at least. And now we're ready to add our dropper item elevator, which will be pretty much the very last step of this build. So to set up this dropper item elevator to be completely, it's a completely perfect dropper elevator to where it doesn't stop working even if it's completely full. So if it fills up and overflows, it'll be fine. It'll just keep pulsing until, you know, more items are taken out. So it'll be good to go. So anyways, from the middle of this dropper on one side, you're going to put a 3x3 platform based off the center of that. And we're going to take our redstone comparator coming off of the dropper, put that in subtraction mode. That's very important that's in subtraction mode. Otherwise, if it overflows, once it completely fills up, it will stop working. So we have our comparator on subtraction mode, put a repeater pointing into that solid block in the back, and then another repeater diagonal to the comparator on the other side. Now we're going to need redstone dust right there, pointing back into the comparator behind this repeater and 2 blocks ahead of that comparator. We're going to put a solid block in front of the comparator and a solid block behind this repeater over here. This block isn't actually necessary, so we can break that out. And then do the same thing on the other side, but 1 block higher, so like so, and it's just completely mirrored. So comparator in subtraction mode, repeater, dust, and then solid blocks, and then you can just stack them like so, all the way up to the top, just repeating that pattern. Subtraction mode comparator, repeater, dust, solid block, and solid block. And then just keep on doing that all the way to the top. I'm going to finish that quickly off camera. And then I'll get our villager inside of this off camera too, give him some seeds and put some bone meal in the system, and then we'll give this a little bit of a test run before we finish up the video. Okay guys, when everything is said and done, you should have a little something looking like this. Again, double check that all of your comparators are in subtraction mode. And now there's a couple things we need to do. I've already actually done that I forgot about if you follow this tutorial like word for word. After you get your loading station set in, before you go ahead and put any items in, go ahead and throw your hopper minecart down onto that powered rail, which will get the system turned on. And then you can go ahead and start adding bone meal into that chest down there. Go ahead and get your villager in place down here. Actually, I would wait on that. But if you followed the tutorial exactly, we haven't put a water bucket inside of this dispenser back here, which I have already gone ahead and done. And we also forgot to put an item inside of this single pulser down here, which again, I have already gone ahead and done. So just make sure you have all those in places, get your hopper minecart in place, and then go ahead and get your villager inside of here and give him some seeds. And then, or you can, I have him currently just waiting down there. But now everything should be set to go once you do all those things. So let's let him out and see if everything is working properly. So we should see him coming down that tube any moment now. He should be coming up the or the mob evader, like so. Hey guy. And it can be any brown coat villager. It doesn't have to necessarily be a farmer. It can be a shepherd or a fisherman as well. Just anyone who has a regular brown coat but no apron or anything like that. So once his AI updates, he should start planting seeds any moment now. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. Come on. There we go. Let's go into game mode 3 so it's easier to move around. Alright, so he's going to be planting his seeds now, and then any second he's going to see that last one, and then he's going to attempt to go get it, walk off. All those are going to, well, you're going to see that grow. All the items get knocked off. The items aren't going to do anything to the tripwire. All the wheat's going to be picked up, but the villager's going to pick up the seeds. They're not going to be picked up by the hopper. Gives it plenty of time for him to pick them all up, and then he can get back through here if he stops jumping around like an idiot. There he goes. Now he will get back through. It's all waiting for him to go be planted again, and it's good to go. So it'll just keep on cycling like this. If it runs out of bone meal, he'll just plant seeds, and it'll just reharvest the seeds and get it back to him. So nothing will happen if you run out of bone meal, and you can turn the farm off with that lever any single time you want. So anyways guys, this has been Crumpet, and I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. I hope you like the automatic wheat machine. It's the first machine that I've really seen of this sort of kind. I know it's a bit of an expensive build, and I might try to expand on it in the future, but for the time being, I really like how this turned out. I really like this machine. Let me know if you guys agree, but anyways guys, I'm out of here. See you later.